In this video, we will be exploring topics of population ecology. Specifically, we're going to be looking at population density and population dispersion patterns. Ecology usually requires a population perspective or higher. Most ecological processes cannot be observed with just an individual. Again, we are studying interactions, so it's hard to study all of the interactions without looking at a whole population, a whole community, or a whole ecosystem. We're going to start with populations. To describe populations, we generally take snapshots of what's going on right then and there. Populations are dynamic. They're constantly changing as organisms come and go, live and die. We can describe populations in many ways. We're going to start by describing our populations based on distribution and density. These two terms or concepts explain how populations are spaced or spread out. We'll look at 3 distribution patterns, as well as talking about how to calculate population density. Population density refers to the number of individuals per unit area or volume. Distribution refers to the pattern of spacing among the individuals within the boundaries of the population. Both the density and the distribution relies on resource availability. So what is a resource? Resources are the things organisms need to survive. This can be food or water. It can also be space, habitat. It can be nutrients or mates. Any substance or interaction that an organism requires to survive and thrive can be considered a resource. Distribution is dependent on the availability of resources. We're going to look at 3 distribution patterns: clumped, random, and uniform. Clumped distribution or dispersion is when individuals group together in patches. Clumped distribution is usually influenced by resource availability or sometimes by behavior. We see that in these examples with the trees, water is a scarce commodity in the desert. So when water surfaces, organisms clump around that resource. In this one over here, we see many sea stars clumping together around the mollusks, which are their food source. So again, they are clumping around the resource that they need to survive. Uniform distribution is when individuals are equally spaced in their environment. This may be influenced by social interactions such as territoriality, or the resources may be limited, preventing them from being any closer to one another. 2 good examples are in forests and seabirds. In the forest, we see that these trees are evenly spaced. This is due to resource availability. Each tree needs a certain area of space below or in the ground for its roots to grow. Without that space, it will not get enough nutrients and the tree will die. So these trees are equally spaced to ensure that each one gets all the resources they need. Territoriality sometimes comes into play as well. These seabirds are territorial over their nest. These birds are spaced evenly because of their nesting patterns. Each nest is just far enough away from their neighbors that the bird cannot touch or peck at its neighbor as long as it's sitting on its own nest. So this territoriality causes these birds to evenly space themselves when they are nesting. The third pattern of distribution we're going to look at is random dispersion or random distribution. This is when the position of each individual is independent of the other individuals in the population. Random spacing occurs in the absence of strong attractions or repulsions. This means there's no territoriality. And also we see that the resources are not limited. This means there's plenty of resources for everyone. So in the case of these plants, wherever the seeds land, they will grow because resources are plentiful. We see the same thing with these flowers in the field. Because there are plentiful resources and the plants are not territorial, we see they can grow anywhere and are randomly spaced. Population density can be calculated by taking the number of individuals and dividing it by the total area the population inhabits. So in this example, we see there are 520 seabirds nesting in a 2-acre area. This is an easy math problem. 520 individual birds divided by 2 acres. This gives us 260 birds per acre. Humans like to figure out population density, particularly for our own population. So for example, you can look up the population density by state. Florida has a population density of approximately 353 people per square mile. North Carolina has a population density of 189 people per square mile. Last I checked, New Jersey was the most dense state with 1,170 people per square mile. Remember, for population densities to be so high, there have to be high resources allowing for that many people or that many organisms to be in one area. If the resources are limited and there are few things, individuals must spread out to get what they need. There are some exceptions to the population density rule. For example, we often see herds of animals traveling together. This is because there are safety in numbers. So zebra herds, for example, live in high numbers where the density is too high to be supported by the resources in one area. They live together because they are safer together than they are by themselves. It's harder for a lion or other predator to pick them off if they are in a big group compared to if they are all by themselves. So how do large herds survive if they outnumber the available resources? This is why herds of zebras and other large herbivores migrate across the savanna. They move from place to place to increase their resource availability. In summary, we have seen that populations are spaced based on resource availability. This includes both their dispersion patterns, how they're spaced out, as well as the density of a population. Until next time.